So today's video is kind of funny because it could be alternatively titled, Jenny Needs to Take Her Own Advice. All right, so I've been thinking, it's July, we're in the middle of our summer. If you're a teacher, you never truly stop thinking about school, but soon enough, you're going to start getting that like summertime version of the Sunday scaries where you start thinking like school is coming back, school is coming back, school is coming back. And even though like you might be excited that school is coming back, because there's a certain amount of excitement because, you know, we like our jobs, but there's also like that anxiety of like, oh no, the burnout's coming back, or the, you know, whatever it is you don't like about teaching is coming. So there's this weird mix of like, it's a both and situation where you're like excited and happy, but also like dreading and fearful, you know, welcome to the life of teachers. So in thinking about this, I was like, okay, what could you start doing now to kind of plan for the fall and, you know, kind of making a plan, setting some strategies to help avoid like burnout and exhaustion and all of those things that as teachers we deal with. What can we try doing this fall to make things better? So I've come up with a list of seven tips or bits of advice to kind of help you with setting boundaries at your job, keeping that work-life balance, things that you can do in the fall. All right, so my first tip is to set office hours and stick to it. So now is your chance. If you don't know your work obligation yet or your school hours, you know, you can do a general, but know like, hey, I get to work at 8 in the morning. I know that I leave at 3:30 in the afternoon. You can even put those hours, like hold yourself accountable, like put in your email signature, like, hey, I respond to emails from, you know, 8 in the morning till, you know, if you want to give yourself to 4 o'clock, give yourself a half hour after school, you know, be like, those are my office hours. I will reply to you the next day or something like that. Like set your work hours for yourself, but like make them known. So, you know, put it in your email signature or have like a canned email or something, or even set up like an auto responder or something if you're worried about it. So like set those hours for yourself, but then you do have to stick to it and you have to follow through. I know that's hard sometimes, but right now is the time when you're not in the thick of things, you can sit down and be like, you know what, this is reasonable for me. And that's different for everybody. So my next tip is to add friction to your situation, to your communication. So in the case of, I just had a discussion with my husband yesterday. He was making a comment about work and I was like, are you checking your work email? And he was like, yeah. And I said, delete that off your phone. So turn off your notifications, remove your email from your phone. I know if you have an iPhone, you don't actually have to delete the account. You can just like turn it off. There's a toggle. So if it helps to start small like that, you can. You know, you could even set it so like you can see your email, but make it harder to get to. So maybe your work uses Outlook and you use Gmail for everything else. Don't have the Outlook app on your phone, or have it, but it's hidden. Like give yourself an extra step between things because it will make it more inconvenient and you're less likely to do it. So when things are really accessible, when you're like getting ding, ding, ding notifications and you have your email right there and you see the little badge and you're like, oh, I have 2 new emails. It tempts you to check it. It makes you more accessible. Like there's going to be a period of like, you almost have to train people to, you know, the new me. I don't check my email outside of these hours or whatever. So there's going to be some, you know, build in some friction for yourself so that it's not easily accessible. I highly recommend just removing your email from your phone completely if you can. Number 3 is to practice saying no, but instead of saying no, a suggestion I have is to use the phrase, sorry, I can't. And this is, again, something that I've talked to my husband about quite a bit. At his school, they're constantly, probably at your school too, constantly asking him to substitute and fill in for classes during his plan time. And one of his like boundaries or like coping skills for mental health to not burn out completely is that he needs his plan time. You need to be able to get work done during the time when kids aren't there. You might need to just decompress and have your headphones on for 10 minutes. What you do with your plan time is what you do with your plan time, but you need that time. And if it's constantly being taken away from you, it's not good. So if he is asked to sub, I told him, I said, you don't have to give a reason unless your teaching contract might say differently. Everybody's situation is different, but for the most part, you're asked to do something that you don't have to do, you're not obligated to do, but we're kind of guilted into as teachers. You don't need to give a full like, I can't because I have all these papers to grade, or I have this, or even like make up a story or something. You don't have to do that. Like, take that pressure off yourself and just use, sorry, I can't. You don't need to explain. A lot of times, whoever it is scheduling the subs, they don't even care what the reason is. They just want to know, like, nope, okay, I have to go on to the next person. Like, it's not that complicated. So I think that that's a good way to kind of practice and start saying no, is using the phrase, sorry, I can't. End of story. My next tip is to schedule your personal days. So this is assuming, again, that you get personal days or vacation days or something like that, and you have the ability to do this. But if you do, like, say you're given 5 personal days, a year, maybe 4 of them, you decide, you know what, I'm going to pick one day each quarter. I'm going to just give myself, like, schedule them ahead of time at the beginning of the school year, schedule your days in, because number one, if you're the first one to put in for it, it's less likely like they're going to be overwhelmed with subs and like, nobody else can be out, or if you have to get your days approved, doing it farther ahead is a good thing. But then you have like something to look forward to. So I know like a lot of teachers, they come back from, winter break and they're like, oh, how many days do we get a day off again or something? But if you schedule like days off for yourself, you have something to look forward to. Like, that time is coming and you've made yourself a priority. So I know policies are different with like, paid time off or personal days, vacation day, or whatever they might call them at your school. If you have the ability to, I would say do that, because we need them right now, and don't feel guilty about it either. And I know it's one thing to just say, don't feel guilty, and another thing to actually do it. So I get that part of it, but sometimes scheduling it ahead of time and not waiting until you're like, oh, I need a day, I'm freaking out, can be super helpful. My next tip is to create a to-do list that has small, achievable goals. So maybe each day, set anywhere from 1 to 3 smaller goals for yourself that if you can complete those at the minimum, you've done your job for the day. So one of the things about being a teacher is that your job never ends. There's always something to do. That to-do list never gets cleared. Things just keep getting added to it. And then sometimes we like make up other things we don't have to do, but we want to do, and stuff like that. So when you come in the morning and you do your first checking of your email, because you haven't checked since the day before, right? Set your goal or your to-do list for the day. Is it to get the 7th grade worksheets from the day before graded and entered in the grade book? Cool, that's enough. If you get that done, great. Maybe you need to sit down, you're like, I need to map out the plan for next week. Cool, then you're done. Set yourself those minimum goals, and I think it's when we don't have those kind of goals set and we just get in the morning, we just run and try to do as much as possible, that then we burn ourselves out because we didn't have any like expectation going into it. We just thought like, I have to do everything all at once. But if you're like, okay, today I can do, this is manageable, this is reasonable, I got it done, and then bonus, I got this other thing done. And then you can leave with a sense of accomplishment and not like unfinished business. So yeah, set reasonable goals, little to-do lists that like, hey, I can do, if you can do more, great, but give yourself that like minimum sort of reasonable expectation so that if you get that done, you're okay. My next item is very difficult for teachers to do, but that is ask for help. Like, if you can delegate something or you can share the load, the responsibility with someone else, please do that. So it could be like asking for help in the most like literal sense, like, hey, can you help me sort sort these papers or reshelve these books or organize this equipment, whatever it is. It could be that. The other kind of asking for help is the mental asking for help. Talking to a therapist or a counselor if you need to. Talking with a best friend, calling your mom. Whatever it is that you need to do, it is okay to ask for help. And I know I've talked about this before, and I've seen a therapist and a counselor, and I've taken medication for anxiety and depression. It is okay to ask for help. You can still be a good teacher and need help. End of story. My last tip for y'all is I called it what's your motivation? And what I mean by that is give yourself a reason to leave at the end of the day at a reasonable time, to not stay late. Give yourself that reason. When I had my son, I didn't really have a choice. I had to leave in order to go pick him up. That was my motivation. I mean, hopefully you want to see your kids anyways, but like I didn't have a choice. I couldn't just leave him there. So that was a good way that I got like forced into having to leave at the end of the day, where previous to that I would like stay late and I just gotta do this one more thing, and I would burn myself out. So that was my motivation to go. I had to go. But if you don't need to have kids, don't have them, just because. But your motivation could be that you joined a sports team and you play soccer on Tuesdays, or you're doing a beach volleyball or something. A few years ago, I played roller derby, and I knew that like I had to get everything done because that evening I had practice and I wasn't going to have time to like do any catch up stuff at night or whatever. Not that like that's something we should be doing anyways, but I gave myself that hobby, that other interest, that other thing I had to do that kind of motivated me to get the work stuff done so that I could have time to do this other thing. So that might mean taking up a hobby or making some kind of commitment to like go to a book club, or you have, friends over on Monday nights to play games. I don't know. It could be anything. Family coming over for dinner. It could be, gotta let your dog out. Something that's kind of a like commitment time-wise that kind of forces you to have to leave work. If you don't have that thing, if you don't have that motivator, that powerful thing, think about it. What can you add it? And it's not, when I say a motivation, it's not an uncomfortable thing. Like, oh, I have to leave to do this thing. It's like, oh, I have to leave and pick up my kid and I like seeing my kid. Or I have to leave because I have practice with my team and I like having my team. Or I like meeting my friends for dinner every Tuesday, so I need to make sure I get this stuff done. Like, it's a good thing you need to leave to go do. So give yourself something to do. So hopefully these tips, one or two, or maybe all, something has resonated with you and is something that you can implement for this fall to help set some more boundaries for yourself, and achieve more of that work-life balance, hopefully make things less stressful for yourself, and by making like conscious decisions now to kind of set strategies and goals, hopefully make this fall just a little bit better. So as always, reach out, let me know what's going on. Does any of this work for you? Do you have any tips that I did not talk about that would be good? And let me know. We'll talk soon. Bye. Be sure to subscribe to the Reset EDU channel for the latest project updates and episodes. If you're interested in having a conversation or collaborating in a reset for your own classroom, be sure to fill out the form at bit.ly/resetedu. That is case sensitive, so type carefully. Or reach out via social media. Thank you for watching.